Hello, you're listening to a podcast. Normally there's 3 of us. Today there's only 2. My son, Drew, is traveling this week, so he's unavailable. So today, Butterball just consists of 2. My name is Scott, and I'm here with Nicole.
Yes, I'm Nicole. Follow us on Instagram at Butterball Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Butterball Podcast, and our Spotify. You can search us at Butterball Podcast. And yes, my brother Drew is traveling, so it is just me and Dad.
Alrighty. So last week we talked quite a bit about hockey, and we said we'd follow up this week. So the NCAA hockey tournament happened. It was pretty exciting, really, and I think when we were talking last week, Wisconsin had just beat North Dakota 2-1, or I think it was 2-1, and then in the second game, I had said don't sleep on Denver because Denver's a school that hockey is like a major sport, Division I for them, and sure enough, Denver beat Michigan in the semifinal 4-3. The crazy thing about that game was the shots on goal was Michigan had 52 and Denver had 26. I mean, you've been to watch beer league. 52 shots on goal will like kill a goalie, in beer league. I mean, they can't get up and down that fast, right?
Well, in your beer league.
Well, but I mean, even for any goalie, 52 shots on goal is, man, that's machine gun fire. So the goalie for Denver did a fantastic job keeping Michigan out of the goal anyway. And then Denver, they won it in overtime. So Denver goes to the championship game. They play Wisconsin, and they end up winning 2-1. What do you think the shots on goal were in that game?
52.
Not quite. However, Wisconsin outshot Denver 30-15. Denver only had 15 shots on goal the entire game. This is a national championship. 15 shots on goal, and they win. Yeah, that was crazy.
That is pretty nuts.
It was fun to watch, but I was amazed that they were even there to win it. You know what I mean? I mean, think about watching a game, 52 shots on goal. That seems like, oh boy, this is kind of fun. They're playing offensive hockey and they're in there a lot. And then contrast that with 15.
So you thought it was boring?
I didn't. No, it wasn't boring just because it was 2-1, and this goaltender for Denver, his name is Johnny Hicks. And the backstory on him is I think he's just a freshman. He wasn't even the starter when the season started, but the starting goalie for Denver got hurt. And so he came in and they went 16 wins, 0 losses, and 1 tie with him in goal. So that's why he stayed. He stayed there for the balance of the season and through the playoffs, just like the Olympic hockey teams. They had great goaltending on the men and women's teams from Aaron Frankel and Connor Hellebuck. And then this guy, Johnny Hicks, he came through and, man, it was impressive.
Johnny Hicks, I like that name. But my favorite name was, I can't even remember his first name now. It was Brandon Buckberger.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Brandon?
Buckberger, yeah.
I know Buckberger's correct.
Yeah.
But was it Brandon?
Or was it Boston?
It was Boston. It was Boston.
Yeah.
It was definitely Boston because it was a funky B, but it was another B name.
Yeah.
Boston Buckberger. An iconic name.
That's a pretty good name.
The triple B.
Yes. I always thought one syllable word with Butterball is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, my name's Nicole.
Well, girls, it's hard though. I mean, I could have named you Eve.
Ew.
Yeah, you didn't like that.
And that would not be good for me.
Yeah.
I like my name.
Yeah. What are some other one-syllable girls' names?
June.
Okay.
Kate.
May.
Jess.
Yeah.
Ash.
Well, Jess is nice. There's a lot of nice names, I'm sure. But girls' names, they always seem to be better with 2 syllables, I think. But I thought with a boy, 1 syllable, keep it simple because you got a last name that's kind of out there a little bit.
Even though you famously have said, or it's not famous, but you wanted to name me Stephanie, but that's too long.
Yeah, that would have been long. Steph. Could have called you Steph, but
I like my name.
Yeah.
Nicole is good.
I think it worked out.
Could have called me Cole.
Yeah, it worked out. I think it worked out.
I will be sad when I lose my last name one year. that'll be sad.
And I've ran into people recently that were like, "Oh, it's kind of a neat last name," and I've heard people say that to you kids at times too. I'm kind
I
of
think
amazed by
in
that.
this, information overload type of an era, it's kind of nice to have something super memorable.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's been nice.
might help a little bit.
Other thing about NCAA hockey that I feel is important to call out. Of course, the hockey fans listening to the podcast already know this, but for those of us that aren't as familiar with hockey, in college hockey, a lot of these freshmen are not your true freshman age, which is why when you turn on the Frozen Four and you see, a 23-year-old looking Denver freshman, that's actually quite normal in college hockey. Do you want to explain, what's going on there?
Yeah, for some reason, it's like I guess always been this way. The colleges just wait for kids to develop. They'll play different tier levels when they're in youth hockey, and then the Canadian players stay up in Canada and usually play the juniors up there. American players are also playing the juniors here in the U.S. and will Canadians. And the junior level hockey, you're eligible to play in junior level hockey until you're 21. So guys will age out at 20, and then when they're turning 21, now they're ready. And college, they can go in as a college freshman, as a 21-year-old. And as a college recruiter and a college coach, you're like, well, geez, this is great because now you got more mature guys.
Yep. So with COVID and in college hockey, you could have had a 26-year-old senior.
We've seen, well, and with COVID and everything, we've seen guys playing 5 and 6 years and 7 years of college
Anyway,
football and everything else. It's crazy, but yeah, you can have guys that are a lot older, which makes like then when you see talent that gets to like the NHL and they're only 19 years old, like your guy
Macklin.
Macklin Celebrini that you like watching, that blows your mind,
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
that kind of talent.
We had talked about that the other night. I didn't really truly grasp till I started, now my whole For You page is Macklin Celebrini. But I didn't truly grasp like the age disparity or disparity, is that the right word? Range, I guess, of the NHL until I realized like we've got 19-year-olds and how old is what's his face? Like 40.
Crosby's probably right around 40. I think Ovechkin's a little over 40, right? And then, most of them aren't going to stick around past 40. There might be some here and there. The oldest guy ever was Gordie Howe. I think he was 52 playing in the AHL. You're not going to see that anymore. But man, these guys, when they're really, really good, they can play into their late 30s and still contribute, man. Because, it's just the one thing about hockey that people look at it and they think, oh, God, that game is so violent. It depends on what your, I guess, definition of violence is, right? Because
Getting your teeth knocked out.
yeah, I mean, if that's your definition of violence, okay, you
Ah!
can lose a tooth. But, I'd rather lose a tooth than blow a knee in football or have a compound fracture or break a hip or something like
Really?
that. Yes,
Coming
absolutely.
from you, that is rich because I think you would pass out if your tooth fell out.
No,
Yes, you would.
no,
You would pass out.
no.
Yes, you would, because you are very like squeamish around other people getting injured, and I really truly feel like a tooth for you. If you had a tooth that came out, you would be like so disgusted by it.
Nah.
I'm not saying you'd pass out from the pain, but you would be so disgusted by the idea of it that you would pass out.
Well, I probably wouldn't be happy. I mean, losing a tooth, not fun. But I know what it feels like to blow a knee, and I'd rather lose a tooth than blow a knee.
Well, have you ever lost a tooth as
Yeah.
an adult?
Yeah, no, not as an adult. When I was a
See,
little
so
kid.
you can't compare.
Well,
We
when,
can't
when I was a
compare.
little kid, when I was 4 years old, man, was I 4? I think I was 4. And I had a gardening tool, Deanie Smith's gardening tool. I had,
Call him out by name.
yeah, and sorry, Deanie, if you're listening.
Teeny's
And
not listening.
Yeah. And my dad was like, you need to take that back to the Smiths. So I was like, okay.
What
So
kind of gardening tool?
It was like a little, just the
Shovel?
little shovel spade thing. And so I went running out of the front yard, and we had a little tiny, embankment before you got to the street. And I tripped and just went smack flat on my face, lost my front tooth. And my lip was so fat that it was like hanging down to here. And my parents took me to the doctor, and he was like pinching my lip and stuff to see if the tooth was in there because we never knew where the tooth went. So knocked it clear out, never
Did you
found it.
swallow it?
No, I don't think I swallowed it. But so I was toothless. I looked like a hockey player until my adult tooth grew in when I
Well, at
was.
least you had an adult tooth to grow in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now you can just get a
Pop it in and out. I'm just thinking of Jack Hughes. He said he lost his jib in a video, and I was like, well, "Your what? Is that what? Did I say that right? Your jib?
I don't know.
I don't know. That must be a hockey term.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Hockey players have their own unique language.
Yeah. Well, speaking of hockey, we also talked about the NHL playoffs. The NHL playoffs.
I didn't even get to talk about my tooth story.
Oh.
Okay, well, I have a tooth story.
Okay. Yeah, you do, I think.
Well, you were there.
I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day Drew's team was practicing baseball and I was catching. They were like crow hopping it back to the catcher. I had no business catching it anyway, but
Well, the team, here's what happened.
if they would have thrown it all the way to me, I would have caught it.
Well, as often happens in youth baseball, some kids didn't show up to practice and we were a few people short. And so you said, well, I can
pretty sure
catch.
you asked me to.
Did
and then
I asked you to?
did, but then you did say, sit down. And then I was like, no, let me do it. So, but I do think you at first were like, do you want to come catch?
I think I did ask. I think I might have offered too that, do you want to mask? And you were like, no.
I don't know if I remember that part.
Yeah.
I do remember at one point you were like, do you want to sit down? And I was like, no. Because again, I think I was trusting that they were going to throw it all the way to me.
Okay.
But then they were bouncing them. So I was like trying to field them coming up in my face.
Well, they're 12, 13 years old.
Well, throw it all the way to me. Damn. And so, one bounced up, hit me in the face. I was chewing on a cube of ice that day. And so I spit it out. And then I was like, Dad, my tooth. And then you were like, what? That was a piece of ice. And I was like, my tooth is going to fall out. Like I can feel my tooth, which it always feels bigger, or you know what I mean? Like more dramatic in your own mouth than it looks to other people. It felt like it was hanging down halfway.
I did see, well, when I finally looked, I did see that it was caved in some. It wasn't like hanging down.
But that's how it felt.
Yeah. But it looked like it was bent in.
And it was.
So like it got stuffed in.
And so then I was like, oh my God, my tooth. And then, we had to call a dentist and find any dentist that would meet me there. Luckily, a dentist was like, yeah, we'll come in after hours and do an emergency tooth surgery. So then that was my first time ever having laughing gas, because up to that point I had never had a cavity. Fun fact, me and Drew both were like pretty late in the cavity game. Like now we've both had them, but like up to that point we didn't have any cavities till we were like 12 or so. And so I never had a cavity, I never had laughing gas. I remember sitting there, I think they gave me extra also or something, because I actually laughed out loud on the laughing gas. I'll never forget it. I felt like I was doing cartwheels. I laughed out loud. They shoved it back up somehow and then gave me a splint, is what they called it. And then I ended up being fine. I eventually got a root canal. It looks completely normal. They didn't even bleach it. They said they were going to maybe insert some like coloring to make it match, but then they didn't even do it.
Yeah, you lucked out.
I did luck out because the only thing I can't do now is whiten my teeth, because these two won't whiten.
Yeah.
Because they don't have a
you don't need it
lie.
Anyway, but
I mean, but everyone else is whitening their teeth, and then my teeth are going to look yellow.
You want them to glow? You want them to glow like
really
Ross?
White teeth.
You want them to glow like Ross on Friends?
On Friends? Yeah.
Yeah. So you like the neon
that
teeth.
would look good.
You got to have the neon teeth.
No, it's fine. But yeah, my tooth almost fell out. It was traumatic.
It wasn't great. I mean, anytime you see your kids get injured to where you got to take them to the emergency room, that's not fun.
I was the emergency dentist.
Yeah, emergency dentist. But hey, it all worked out.
Well, you know what it reminds me of, though? Speaking of, I sent you this post on Instagram and you never replied. I even made a family chat on Instagram DMs and nobody responded. And it was freaking funny. So I'm going to show it to you right now. I sent this to the family chat on Instagram.
I didn't see it.
But do you get it?
I-
Okay, so for the listeners, I'll insert a picture, but it's a nice what is that, Jordan Sparks song? And it says, "We've all had that bicycle accident that traumatized us and was never forgotten." And I had that bicycle accident, very, very traumatic, and it was never forgotten. I can't believe none of y'all freaking replied to my
I
awesome
didn't see it.
video.
I didn't see it. It was that was an interesting day too. When the kids, this is when we were living in California.
Yes.
You were riding your bikes around the block, and
I was riding Mom's. That's why it happened.
You were riding Mom's bike?
Yes, because we were getting older, and so I was big enough to ride on Mom's bike because my mother is 5 feet tall, and I started growing. It's like close to 5 feet. Dad, I was 5 feet tall in 5th grade, and I have never grown more than that. I'm 5'2", but like I was pretty much this tall in 5th grade. I remember the 5th grade teachers were like, "You're gonna play volleyball, you're gonna play basketball," and you guys were like, "Relax, like look at her parents, like she's not getting any taller than this," which was true. But like I blossomed early. I was so tall when I was young, so I was getting bigger. This was like towards the end, because I would have been 8 or 9, because it was right before we went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
So I would have been.
But I thought you were riding Mom's bike.
Yes, I was. You let me ride Mom's bike.
I did?
Yes, that's why it happened.
Well, that's probably why it happened.
It is why it happened. I just said
Jeez,
that.
God, what a stupid decision that was. What the hell did you listen to me for?
No. For nobody knows what's going on. So I was getting taller, and so I was getting close to about 5 feet tall to be able to ride Mom's bike.
Not at that age.
Yes, I was. Pull up we can.
Okay,
like,
well,
use our detective skills and figure it out.
Whatever bike it was.
I was tall enough to ride Mom's bike. Like, for frick's sake. I was tall enough to ride Mom's bike. And so you were like, yeah, go ahead and ride Mom's bike. Maybe were you even home?
I was home because you came running off.
Wait, so I was tall enough to ride Mom's bike. I remember, because this was the traumatic bike incident that traumatized me. And Mom hadn't ridden her bike in a while, because when do moms ride bikes on a daily basis?
Never.
And so never. Yeah. So you were like, yeah, go ahead and ride her bike, or someone told me that I could. So I started riding her bike, and then I get halfway around the block. Exactly. And the front wheel falls off. The front wheel falls off.
I can attest that happened.
And so I'm holding on the handlebars. I slide face first into the sidewalk like this, catch my whole chin. But only my chin. Yeah, not even my teeth. It was close to my teeth, is why I thought about this. But nothing happened to my teeth, to my knowledge. And so I scraped the hell out of my chin. It's turns out to be huge. It's bleeding. I'm in pain. I start immediately crying. And then I remember there was a neighbor across the street that saw me do this, and they're like, "Are you okay?" But I was like, stranger danger, like, don't talk to him. So then I was like, what do I do? Like, do I get the bike? I can't carry the bike and the wheel at once. I'm like 8. So like, what do I do? So I just grab the wheel and I leave the rest of the bike there. So I start hobbling back around the rest of the block. Again, hold the other halfway. And I remember I was like holding it and like crying and like bouncing it on the ground. And then I get back home, and then I don't know, what did I say?
I can't remember what you said, but we were like, we saw you running up with your bike helmet on, crying, carrying the wheel. You know, like,
I fell off it.
What happened to the bike?
I flew off of it.
Geez, what happened? So we had to go retrieve the bike and everything. But so you had a pretty good knot. You had like a knot on your chin.
It was huge. It, really stuck out. I probably have scar tissue. I don't know. Maybe it's like, still lives there. But I had a huge bump. It was all cut up. And then, are you already laughing at the next one?
Then we went on vacation.
No, you did call me Crimson Chin, which is from the Fairly Odd Parents. Is a character called Crimson Chin. So yeah, then it starts healing. It looks almost fine. We were about like 2 weeks out from going to Hawaii to see my Aunt Jenny, Dad's sister, run an Ironman triathlon. So we were very excited. So we go to Hawaii. Again, it's healing. It's not as noticeable. It is what it is. Stop laughing. We go to Hawaii and we're out swimming in the ocean one day and Dad's like, let's go out deeper and just like float with the waves. And I was like, I don't know, I kinda want a boogie board and like hang out over here. And you're like, nah, let's go out deeper and just like, like float. And so I was like, all right, fine. So I go out there, with Dad and we're just like floating. And then all of a sudden this wave comes up. And we both like
it was like 10 feet in the air. It was huge.
there was
Oh,
nothing that either of us could do. Like there was literally nothing. We both just knew like it's over. It's over. So the wave comes crashing down. I remember this again vividly. I don't even think you realize. I remember eyes open flying into the ocean floor. Like I remember flying through the water into the ocean floor again,
bang the chin.
bang the chin on the rocks and shells on the wet, hard sand of the ocean floor, and then it swelled back up again. So we have some awesome photos from the luau.
She comes up. She comes up and her chin's like all big again. I'm like, oh, it happened again.
Yeah.
Oh well. At least it didn't stay that way. You're good.
Hopefully, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you're
But
good.
I survived.
Oh, the memories.
Yeah,
Man.
the awesome luau photos of
Oof.
me looking.
Well, everybody takes those spills. I knocked my tooth out. Looks like it's in my lip. Big chin. Hey, we
Apparently,
recovered.
everybody has that bike accident that traumatized
I think
them.
a lot of people do, or they brought it on themselves just by trying crazy stuff on bikes.
No, see, I was just being a normal person
The wheel falls off.
because it was old.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, well, that's a good trip down memory lane. NHL playoffs. Last week we checked in, and it was getting pretty well set. Now all the teams are set. So the only thing we don't know is who's playing who in the first round because the teams that came in on the bottom, they're going to either move up or down and who they're playing based on how they finish. So, but anyway, the teams that are coming in from the Eastern Conference, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Montreal, Boston, Ottawa, Carolina, Pittsburgh, and Philadelphia. Carolina's the odds-on favorite. They went to the conference championship last year and got beat by Florida. But, they're the hot team so far this year. Buffalo's been on a tear, though. They won their division. They're a new team in the playoffs this year, too. So, who knows? They're on a roll. And it's a grind. So, the playoffs will just be getting started. But anyway, there's 4 new teams from the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. On the Western Conference side, you got Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Utah, Vegas, Edmonton, Anaheim, and the Kings. And I think there's only 2 new teams in there on that side this year. The part that I don't like about this side of the conference or this side of the NHL is, I believe, I guess you could have an argument with Carolina, but I believe the 3 best teams in the league could be Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota, and they'll play each other. Like, Dallas is going to play Minnesota in the first round, and if whoever wins that is going to probably have to play Colorado in the second round.
You know what they should do?
What should they do?
Complain like the coach of the women's basketball team. Dang it, we have to play them again every year.
Yeah, this is wrong. Well, this is pro sports, so it's different,
Oh.
You have the ability to seed
To
this
change
thing and seed it right instead of, just saying that you have to play out of your division first. But anyway, Colorado's the odds-on favorite out of that side of the conference. But, there's a lot of good teams there, so who knows? The thing about the playoffs is they're getting started now. It's going to be going on until June.
Yeah.
This is a marathon, so there'll be a lot of things to talk about in the weeks to come, but they're just getting started.
Yeah, it always sucks when you go to a hockey game and you want to wear shorts, but it's going to be cold in there. So then what do you wear? Do you wear jeans and your jersey?
Well,
Even though
especially
you
when if you
sweat?
go to a playoff game in Dallas, because it could
Yeah.
be 98 degrees,
Yeah, you
by
got
the
to
time.
pack your t-shirt, go back to hotel, change, or, back to your car. It's like a whole ordeal. It's
It
really hard
is.
to plan your outfit.
It is a big deal. These are Dallas fan problems. I mean, I'm sure they don't experience this in Edmonton, but
I mean, by June, you
maybe,
might.
maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, any other hockey talk?
I've just been really enjoying Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. So I'm a bit sad that, their season's over. Cause I'm telling you, my algorithm lately, it can tell that I'm enjoying their content and I'm seeing a lot of them on my page, but they are funny. They've been cracking me up. And I know that you think they're funny too, because I've shown you some of the clips.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I liked the one where they were kicking the soccer ball at the shark.
At Sharky?
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yes, they kicked Sharky in the head with the soccer ball. That one was quite funny. I loved they had told their teammate, I can't remember his name, sorry guy. But they told their teammate, if all three of us score, we're having a sleepover. And they made him, the 32-year-old, have a sleepover with them.
Yeah,
And Will and Macklin are 19 and 20?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
it's awesome. That's awesome. They're just funny. I
Yeah.
saw another one of them today, that I'll have to show you, and one of their teammates had been, like at every hotel that they went to, he would go to the front desk and he would lie and he would say, like, "I'm Macklin, and I forgot my room key, like, can I have your room key?" And so he would get a room key and then go poop in their hotel and leave it, and then one day they, like, were grilling their team, like, "Tell us who it is, like, tell us who's doing it in our room."
That's good. That's good hockey pranks there.
That's
Yeah, that's
hilarious.
good
I mean,
stuff.
that is funny.
Yeah,
Like,
that is funny.
and so then whenever they, like, got him back, they were gonna go, like, trash the guy's room once they figured out who it was or whatever. So Will, like, goes up to the front desk at one hotel and he's like, what's his face? Like, can I have my room key? And they were all, like, giggling and she was like, she knew something was up, but she gave it to him. So he's like, hee hee, and he starts walking away and she's like, "You wanna know what room you are?"
That's
He
pretty
didn't
good.
think that far either.
Uh,
Oh, they're just funny. They're just nice, like, good kids. Will, from what I've seen online, he's been baking, fancy, like, banana bread and making Dubai chocolates for the staff and stuff. He's got, like, a whole list.
that's a good teammate there.
I heard they
Yeah.
started a book club.
Really?
Yeah!
Wow.
Will started a book club.
You wouldn't expect that from a
That's what
hockey
I'm
team
saying.
usually.
That's what I have heard. Again, I mean, I'm not, the most credible source, but I've been seeing quite a few videos of them and they just seem adorable and just fun to be around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of times you will see that the pro hockey players are really humble and there's good there's good teammates. They have more of a team vibe than a lot of sports, which is awesome.
Hmm.
It's another reason why I like watching it so much because I just think that they put the team before themselves, and that's worth a lot in team sport.
Yeah, that's why they all
Mhm.
fight each other.
Well, that's part of the game.
Yeah, something that my mom had noticed was in the college hockey Frozen 4, there was not as many fights, so she was sad about that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yes, but the thing is in playoff time or getting close to playoff time, there's plenty of fights,
Well,
luckily. So,
NHL playoff hockey is unlike the regular season. I mean, they'll call way fewer penalties. It'll be a lot more physical. And the teams fighting is a way they police themselves. They make sure that nobody's going to take cheap shots at their, like Macklin Celebrini. Somebody runs at him,
yeah, they all fight.
somebody's going to fight for him.
Mhm.
That's just how they do it.
Yeah,
They
someone
take care
hits
of the guy.
Will, Macklin's gonna fight for Will, 'cause that's his homie.
Or they have a bigger guy on the team that'll fight for both of them.
Well,
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, a bigger and older guy.
No, but
Bigger and older guy,
they
go get him.
do, like, training about how to fight.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
actually, like, weightlifting, fight training,
Yeah.
hockey training.
There's an art to it. They grab each other's jerseys. Because they're standing on a quarter inch of steel. So they got to have good balance while doing it. So,
It's
yeah,
awesome.
it is. Okay. Well, what else did we have going on? This last weekend was the Masters.
Mhm.
This is the first year I think ever that I basically watched it wire to wire. I didn't have a lot going on.
what happens when you're retired.
Kind of nice, yeah, kind of nice. That happens that way sometimes. And so I watched every round, and man, it was really, really good. McElroy came out hot, and after 2 rounds, he was at -12. And it's funny because we met up with some people at the clubhouse, and they're all, a lot of people are betting, and they're saying, well, we do a bet every round to see who's going to have the next good round and all that kind of stuff. So we were kind of talking, and one guy thought Justin Rose was going to be a hot bet to have a good third round. I said Cameron Young, and we were both right. I mean, they both did really, really good. Um, and then the interesting thing was, as I asked him, I said, well, McElroy's at -12. So do you think if he just pars out from here that he could win? And we're all like, "Yeah, I don't know," I mean, sometimes these guys get on a tear, but the last 2 days, a lot of times, the course becomes harder and harder to play too, because things get fast and all that kind of stuff, and it's crazy how it finished because McIlroy finished at -12. So that basically came true, um, but Scotty Scheffler, he was even after 2 rounds, and he finished -11. So he tore it up those last 2 rounds, but he just, he couldn't overcome that bad start that he had, on the second day, especially. And then there were 4 guys at -10. It was a fun tournament to watch, I thought. If you're watching social media, Brandel Chambly always talks about the live players and how, oh, since they've been to live, they don't produce, and that's true. Brooks Koepka and Patrick Reed were the first 2 guys that left live that came back to the PGA Tour. They both finished -5. They were in some high money there and stuff, but Bryson DeChambeau missed the cut. So he did not have a good tournament at all. So it was interesting. Man, these guys, they're so damn good. The thing that I always find funny is I live at a golf course, and I listen to people talk about their scores, and I know they're BSing a lot of the time, man.
I do feel like a lot of people lie. Well, but
Oh,
I don't talk to older people or about their scores very often, but like men, I guess around my age that talk about their scores and they're like, "Oh, 86 today," or "Oh, whatever today." And I'm just like, "You're all
yeah,
liars." I
after
I
so many
just know.
mulligans and forgotten penalty
Yeah,
strokes and
it's
everything
like,
else.
"Oh, well, let me drop 3 balls and pick my favorite," and then I got an 85. Yeah, I just don't buy it. I don't buy any of the guys I talk to when they
Golf is
say
so
anything about
freaking
80.
oh, golf is so hard. It's so hard. And then, to play a course that's tough, I can't even imagine walking on Augusta and, you'd look at like their chip shots or their shots that would hit, and they'd like be going so slow, and then they just roll off the green and keep rolling and
Mhm.
rolling and rolling, rolling. It's like, man, their touch is unbelievable. Their ball control is amazing. It's it's crazy. And here again, like at our course, if you miss a shot here at our course, you can be in penalty place. That's why I'm like, I call BS on a lot of scores because there's way too many penalties to be had out here, when you miss. So
Every time I golf, someone's hitting off my fairway
yeah,
back into theirs. So I'm not buying that everyone is 85 type golfer around here.
if you can golf like solid 80s, you're good.
Really good.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's why I
yeah,
don't buy anybody that I meet that's just
yeah,
saying it as a hobby golfer
yeah,
that's my age, because I'm like, you have been playing for what, 3 or 4 years?
yeah.
And you suddenly are that good? I don't believe it.
That's why, I'll still cuss when I hit a bad shot, but I've left the slamming the clubs and all that stuff behind because, I mean, I'm not that good, and I don't practice that much. So, I mean, it's a sport where a nanosecond makes a difference of 30, 40, 50 yards or your ball
Yes.
going out of bounds or something. It's crazy how precise that game is. And to watch those guys put the spin on the ball and stuff, man, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Fun to
I'm
watch.
just trying to hit the ball straight and well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was fun. Well, you like the NFL.
I do like the NFL.
Yes.
I wouldn't say I know a few key players, so I'll have a few things to pitch in here, but in terms of like what talent teams are looking for,
Yeah.
or where those missing spots are, obviously I am not, super into all that
Yeah.
jazz.
I don't really like get all jacked up about who's my team going to draft and, what if this team picks this guy first and all that kind of stuff. I really don't care about that. I kind of look at after the draft result and go, okay, well, what did they do?
Yeah.
And look at it that way. Cause a lot of teams will put out false rumors, I'm sure, to try to get
Yes.
people to think they're thinking one way and this way and the other way. So I was just kind of looking at the draft coming up and the first thing I wanted to look at was, well, who are the big personalities that people are talking about? And
Hmm.
one of the first guys that popped up, and since we're all native Iowans,
Yep.
is a guy that played for the University of Iowa, Jennings Dunker, the offensive lineman.
Hmm.
Have you seen him on social media or anything?
Well, if you've seen him once, you'll never forget his face. Because he's a very unique look. He's got a red hair and a mullet,
Yeah.
a very, very healthy mullet, and a great personality. Yeah. So, yeah, I've seen a couple clips of him, but after that first one, I was like, yeah, that's not a face or personality that you forget.
Yeah, I read a story about him today. Very cool story. I mean, he went to high school in a small town in Illinois, in Northeast Illinois, of like 2,700 people. So I went to high school in a town in Northeast Iowa of 2,500 people. So
Mm.
the communities we grew up in were obviously very similar. And so, the way he grew up, the way I grew up in high school and stuff, the same. And if you grow up in that environment, you got to play every sport. Everybody knows everybody. It's very, it's a lot more slow paced, I guess, when it comes to, worrying about things like social media and video games and crap like that. I mean, you're more outside with your friends and just kind of messing around, and stuff. And so that's who this guy was. And the interesting thing is like when he was at the University of Iowa, um, most of his teammates, they could see that, hey, this guy is great. He's got pro potential. And he didn't even believe it himself, though. He's like, nah, I got a lot of work to do. And so he just has this work ethic that's super strong, and he's very smart. And so very cool story just to see that, a small town kid and his parents are from Iowa.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see where he goes and see him on camera again.
Yeah. And then obviously Fernando Mendoza is a big name in the draft, QB from Indiana, formerly of Cal.
Yep.
Um, interesting personality because he's got the goody two shoes vibe about him, which is very different from a lot of quarterbacks that come out with, not that one way to do it's better than the other or anything else, but he pretty much is zeroed in on who he is and what he wants to do. Um, I'm sure he's got a huge social media presence. I don't.
Well, now, yes. So during season, he actually was the only social media he was on was, do you know? I think you do.
No.
During the
Oh,
season,
LinkedIn.
yes,
Yeah.
he only had LinkedIn during season.
Yeah.
So that was like one piece that kind of like, was like a little viral, or I guess like conversational element, was like the only social media he has is LinkedIn. He's back on Instagram now, like shortly after they won the Natty. He's back on Instagram. So he has like 1 million followers now on Instagram. So yes,
Sure.
he is back on it, and active on it now. But during season, no, he was locked in on winning that national championship, which was part of his kind of like, you say goody two shoes. I think of him as more of like a, probably because LinkedIn, like professional, like just locked in type
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
But he does have like a fun little like, in the interview, post game interviews, it's like, I wish I could drink a beer, but we have to play again, in a couple weeks
Yeah.
or whatever. So he has a good vibe there as well. But and now that you say that too, I do enjoy him. And I guess maybe that's different for me because my other favorite quarterback personalities are Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. A little bit opposite of the spectrum on that one.
I love a Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel type like attitude. I just think it's so fun, and we haven't had someone like that in so long since Baker. I feel like we haven't had someone like that. Even like Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence, like they're just not the same. They have some moments where they kind of have some swag, but not nearly Baker level swag, and obviously Johnny. I gotta give him credit where credit's due.
You look at the long-term result though, and Baker's still, he goes up and down in his battles, and he's had some good years, he's had some average years. Johnny, not so good, when you look at his pro career because he didn't produce
Well,
and
the
he
thing is, though,
obviously
if
flamed
he,
out.
like, in another life, if he was to be quarterback at Texas A&M next year, can you imagine? I mean, can you
Well,
imagine?
I'm really stunned that he got the job done without ever watching any film, even in college. That
He
blows me away that
he
Johnny
like
Manziel did
I'm
that.
pretty sure he's said this verbatim, but again, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure he's said like I'm a partier that plays football.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like a football player. Like I'm here to have a good time. I just happen to be good at football.
Yeah.
Is the vibe that he had. And
Well,
he was really freaking good.
Well, but that's, in college, teams get surrounded by great players. And then when they get to the pros, now you can get exposed because, in the pros, everybody's good.
Yeah.
And the team you're going to might not have as good of players as the other team. And so now it's on you. And that's a different deal.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, looking at his lifestyle he was living, that was not going to be, that was
Yeah.
not set up for longevity anyway, but it was very fun to watch. And I enjoy that type of
Yep.
swag.
Yep. So another big personality. Well, I don't know about personality, but another big name in the draft coming up is Jeremiah Love, running back from Notre Dame. And the interesting thing about running backs today is it's just not like, in the old days when a running back was, they'd get drafted in the first round. There haven't been first round draft picks of running backs in years and years now because, they're pretty well expendable, and they get beat up. Their careers are short and teams are looking for more for receivers and slot guys and stuff like that. So he's obviously got extreme talent and everything else. So hopefully everything will work out for him there. And then the other one that was interesting to me, and again Iowa connection, Caden Proctor. He played for Alabama, but he's a high schooler from Iowa. He's like think of Tristan Wirfs. He's a 6'7", 350-pound offensive tackle. 6'7", 350, and he can run and play. Yeah, 6'7". Unbelievable. Unbelievable. A big, just big dude. I mean, these guys are they're massive. They're massive. It's unbelievable, the size and the athletic ability
I
of
can't
these guys.
imagine anybody being that tall. I mean, I was standing next to a 6'8" hockey player the other day, and I still can't even fathom that exists.
In beer league, we actually ran into a 6'9" player because I asked him, "Dude, how tall are you? And did anybody talk to you about basketball when you were younger?" And he kind of laughed. And then we were my son is 5'5", and so
Damn, you just exposed Drew's height like that.
hey,
He did not want you to share.
It's better for the story because we were like on the bench. We were like, Drew, $20 if you skate between that guy's legs.
Give him 100 at least.
Yeah,
Give him more.
And then later in the game, one of the guys was like, Drew, hey, it's almost a third period. You only got 20 minutes left to skate through this guy's legs. It was amazing. It was amazingly funny. But this dude was unbelievably tall. We were like, seeing him on the ice it's crazy. 6'8".
Yeah. And then they wear skates too. Yeah. So
that's a tall hockey. Yeah, because he's 6'10", 6'11" with skates.
I don't understand how you can be functional at that type of a height.
Yeah, and he's swinging a stick.
Yeah.
And, he's flailing around, and there's a lot of wingspan and stick span and arm movements, and there's a lot of stuff going on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's some big guys. And when you look at positions, we already talked about QB some, Mendoza, Ty Simpson from Alabama, Carson Beck, and there's a few others that people are talking about. Yeah. And the other one that really caught my eye was we're going to go to the kicker position because you got another Iowa guy, Drew Stevens. He had just an outstanding career for Iowa. He's their leading scorer. And as the seasons went on, his range, man, he kicked some long field goals. So I'm pulling for him. I hope he finds a team. There's not that many jobs out there for kickers, there's 32 jobs. So good luck to him. That'll be fun to see. Spring football is going on in college, and spring football is kind of boring now. It's a lot different than it was years ago because the NCAA and teams have changed their whole approach to spring football
Yeah.
because it's just too risky to get guys hurt, you
Yeah, I've
know?
never been super interested in, to be honest, even attending a spring football game at the universities I've been at. But I mean, because it's not a real football game to
You
me.
know what?
Not even
There
close.
there was a time when, 50,000 people would go to a spring football game.
Well, yeah, I know, and I know it's like a big deal, and
Yeah,
everybody's like excited about it, but I'm like, we don't even know who's playing,
yeah.
and they're not even gonna hit each other. Like, it's not.
Well, and what you have now, see, back in those days, players couldn't transfer or they'd have to sit out. So when it came to spring, they had 20 practices over like a 35-day period, 35-day period, 20 practices, and you're basically slotting yourself for coming in at the fall where you're going to be on the depth chart.
Mhm.
That's kind of how it worked. That's kind of how they worked it. And I mean, my last experience with college football was that, and we hit every day. There was live contact every single day, and
Mhm.
there was full scrimmage every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. during spring practice. And then to cap off the year, there was a spring game, where you had an actual game. So we had referees there on Saturday mornings at 7, had full out scrimmages, and then had our spring game at the end of the year. But, you know, the injuries stacked up and, the
Clearly
player
for you too.
yeah, the player attrition was it was crazy. And
Yeah.
it's more about knowing what you need to do and what your position, what your assignments are and
Feels like a
stuff like
dress
that.
rehearsal.
Yeah, yeah.
Very much. It's for the teams, and also I just think about the media and, the marketing team and all the, game day staff. It just feels like a little practice run
Yeah,
before we move into fall. So I never really I still don't get very excited about spring
yeah,
football because it just feels like a little dress rehearsal
yep,
playtime.
yep. And then then the team's got to make sure that their guys stay focused so that when they come back in the fall, they're ready to go. I know today they're probably keeping tabs on them a lot closer and stuff like that. And with transfer portal and NIL and everybody changing teams as much as they can, they don't get as much time to really get that continuity.
Times have changed.
Times have changed big time, big time. It'd be tough. It'd be tough to be to be a recruiter and
Coach.
or in charge of recruiting,
Mhm.
because the pressure's on, man. I mean,
Yeah.
you might think you got something going, and man, it changes. And I'm sure those guys are under immense pressure to get a lot of numbers in front of the coaches and to get commitments out of people, and they got to be pretty good salesmen these days.
Well, it's hard because you can't I mean, what can you sell at this point other than money? You know what
Hmm.
I mean? That's the problem that we're running into is because you can't get people excited about the culture or the staff or the facilities or the location or any of these things if this person is going to leave after a year or two anyway. So really the only thing that gets people excited right now, it appears, is money. So,
Yeah, well, when you talk about culture, that's an interesting aspect of it because you look at like what Indiana did last year. They won a national championship in 2 years. Signetti was there for 2 years, and a number of the guys that he won that championship with, he recruited to James Madison when James Madison was an FCS team. They weren't even a Division 1A team yet. He recruited them there as an FCS team. They went to 1A, and then they followed him to the Big Ten, and these guys end up winning a national title. Well, it was probably what, 15 guys that he brought. So it wasn't the whole team, but he needed those guys to build that culture.
mhm.
Because for him to go in there and build that culture as fast as he did would be impossible without the help of players, you know, basically advocating for him
Yes.
as their coach through the practices, because he's a hard driver and stuff.
Yeah,
And
you
yeah,
need the people who have seen it that say, "Oh, this is just how he is," or,
yeah,
when he says this, it means this. And when you have a brand new roster
yeah,
or only have, 3 or 4 returners, like I think about the basketball teams now, like some of them are are keeping 3
Yeah.
people on their team.
Well,
like they
but
graduate a few, have a few transfer, and then they've got 3 left. And like, how do you craft a culture on 3 people?
yeah, but at least in basketball, if you've got 8, you can build a team. In football, you need a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma State turned over almost 60 guys on their roster this year because, they're horrible. The last couple of years, they've done terrible. So, all right, bring in the new coach. He brings a bunch of guys from North Texas, and they basically have 60 new guys in their football team. At the same time, Matt Campbell goes from Iowa State to Penn State, 44 guys leave Iowa State, So with the transfer rules and stuff and the coaches moving, man, it creates it's wild. It's wild.
It's very much changing
Yeah.
the coaching profession.
Big
For
time.
sure.
It takes a lot out of the people the types of coaches that are the ones that just want to be fundamental in teaching the game.
Well, and that's what they've been
You know?
doing. That's what they've been
'Cause-
doing for
yeah.
the past, however many years. Like, that's what they wanted to do. And then now they're thrust into this environment where suddenly
They have to be a
you-
CEO of a business.
yeah, you can't. And
Yeah.
so now we're just in that moment of organizational change where
Yeah.
it's like, do I want to do this anymore or not? How do I adapt? Or if you want to be a coach, if you're coming in, how are you going to switch what you're doing? Because the old model's not
Yeah.
relevant anymore.
My dad was more of a gym rat type coach, and I don't think he would have really enjoyed having to, just be a solid recruiter all the time or a solid fundraiser all the time. I think he would have got tired of that. He's much more happy when he was in the X's and O's.
I can understand for anybody how that would drain it.
Yeah.
Drain just everything out of you. So props to the coaches that do put up with that, because I know that that's a large part of their job, and that's got to be pretty draining.
We'll probably keep talking here through April, but as we get into May, we'll probably take a few weeks break. We got some vacations planned and some time to go play a little bit.
Yeah, we could talk to some potential guests, maybe.
Yeah.
See if that could fill in some moments. But yeah, we know we've got, between the 3 of us family members, some movement with some vacations. But be prepared, because by fall, we're going to be ready and chomping at the bit to talk about football.
Football is the time of year we love the most, and we'll be all over that. And keep listening. Subscribe on YouTube at Butterball Podcasts, right? On YouTube.
Yeah.
And Spotify, Butterball.
Butterball Podcast, yep.
Butterball
And
on
then
Spotify.
Instagram, Butterball Podcast. Shouldn't be too hard to find us if you're using those 3 words.
Yes. Yeah. Butterball. Pretty easy. Alrighty. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.